So over here in Blender, you can delete the default cube and add in your model. I'm going to be using this statue, and then you can set up your camera like this. Now we want to set our render engine to Eevee, and then open up the shader editor, add in a new material, and call this hatching shader. Make this a little bit bigger and go into rendered mode. We can delete the principled BSDF, and we are going to be using a diffuse BSDF for this shader. If you preview this, you will see nothing happen because you need a light. So add that in. I'm going to add in a sun lamp. And then for the pencil strokes, I want to use a wave texture. So add that in. If we preview this, it will look like this. But this is not good because if we rotate the model, you will see these rings appear, and we don't want that. So select the wave texture, press Ctrl T, and use the window coordinates. And this will make sure that the lines will stay straight no matter how our model is rotated. We can increase the lines with this scale here. So set this to something like 100 or 50 or whatever you want. And this is what we're going to use for the pencil strokes. To make this look a little bit more organic, instead of straight like this, we can add a little bit of distortion. So set that to 2. We can add a lot of detail, and we can add some roughness in here as well. And that will look more like pencil strokes. And you can play with the distortion however you want. I think 1 or 2 is good for now. Then what we want to do is make these pencil strokes smaller in the places where there's more light, so it becomes more white. And in the darker areas, we want to make them bigger. So to do that, we can use this diffuse BSDF and add in a shader to RGB node. Then we can use the color data from the lighting as a subtract value. So add in a math node, set this to subtract, put this into the bottom socket and subtract it with the wave texture. Right now in the wider areas it's more dark, and in the darker areas it becomes more white. So we need to invert that. So we need to add in a mix color node, set this to the factor, then use the shader to RGB in the top value and set the B to whatever you want your shadow to look like. For me that's black, and now we have some lines coming out. But now the problem we have is this is really subtle, so we need to intensify the waves a little bit. So add in a map range node and set the from min to 0, from max to 1, to min to 1, and the to max to 3. And this will add in the right amount of contrast that we want. And this is pretty much it. We can change the scale here to make it look a little bit better. We can set this to diagonal if you want that. For me that looks a little bit better, so I'm going to use that. And if we want, we can change the color of the like shader here to get that old paper look. And yeah, that's about it. You can change it to max to make it a little bit darker or thicker, the lines. And you can change it to min to add more shadow or more light. We can select everything here, hit Ctrl G, and then connect up all the properties we want to change. So for example, this color, this roughness, and the normal we might want to use. Then this B color will be the color of the pencil, of course. The scale we want to change, maybe the distortion, the rest can stay. And then the to min for how much light there is. Then in the group here, we can rename them. So color should be color, roughness can be roughness, normal, normal. And this could be pencil color. Scale is fine, distortion is fine, and to min can be lightness. And then you can rearrange them however you want. And if we now tab back, you have a nice hatching shader here. Make sure you hit the shield icon so it doesn't get deleted if you don't have an object using it. And this is about it.